This time we're going to take a look at Luis Badillo Jr. as he runs 1 mile. I thought this would be interesting to watch as he's more of a speed and agility coach and typically does not work on longer distance runs. Also, this is a great clip to really look at running mechanics in a side view. Now, let's get into the analysis. Here, he is running at 200 steps per minute. This may seem high to some people as people tend to think that 180 steps per minute is the ideal cadence. However, it is important to understand the context of the clip. Running around 180 steps per minute can be more typically seen in elite runners running long distance runs like the 5K and up. In this scenario, he seems to be running a 1 mile time trial, and not only that, but he seems to be turning up the heat during this moment to finish the run strong. Both of these factors lead to indicating a higher intensity run. This makes sense as we typically see that the higher the intensity, the higher the step rate or cadence is. Now let's move on to looking at the foot strike. Here he seems to be landing more around the midfoot to forefoot area. Biomechanically, this distributes forces more on the calf muscle and less on the knee joint compared to the other foot strikes. This kind of foot strike is more typically seen toward higher intensity runs as we see the landing patterns go more toward the forefoot as the runner goes faster. This is helpful as landing this way helps you take steps quicker, which becomes more of a priority at higher speeds. Now, as I mentioned before, he seems to be running at a higher intensity, so landing this way is appropriate. Now, let's take a look at the foot position relative to the body. Again, with these kind of clips, it is hard to get the exact moment of landing, but here he pretty much lands in a way where his shin is perpendicular to the ground. This is a simple way to clue in on overstriding, which is where the foot is landing too far from the body, which can cause more of a braking mechanism to occur. But that's not the case here. Now let's move on to looking at the vertical bounce. While interplay of vertical and horizontal forces are important, you typically want forces directing you forward rather than upward, so you can actually get from point A to point B. In this case, he actually presented a bit more than I'd expect, but nothing too much to worry about considering he is pushing hard to finish this mile. Next, we'll move on to looking at the trunk. Some of you have pointed out the excessive back arching, otherwise known as anterior pelvic tilt. Many people associate this with weakness, but that's not always the case. I've actually taken a look at other clips of him sprinting, and he presents good trunk position, which is important to help optimize force production from the legs. In this case, this is more so due to fatigue as he seems to be trying to finish out this mile. It is basically a way to help stabilize around the trunk and core region when you're getting tired. Now let's take a look at the arm swing. It is important to look at this from multiple angles, but we only have a side view here. In this case, he seems to present with decent shoulder movement. This is good as one of the big rules of arm swing is to counter rotational forces produced from the legs. Now finally, we'll look at the head. Here he's constantly looking straight ahead with a relatively neutral head position, which is what we typically want. Overall, while there are a few things that could be tweaked in running mechanics, I am more so impressed by the progress he has made. It is important to not get too caught up in the details of running and rather work on the training process. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'd love to hear what you think. And as always, thank you for watching.